And we're live with the man formerly known as Mr. Carlsbad. Is that the correct?
Sure, we'll do that.
He's been saving seniors out there the last few years. And aside from the odd two-door backdrop that you've got there, it's good to see you, brother.
You too. How are you?
I'm good. It was one of those, it's like door A is like you have two, it's a split right now. I don't know. I feel like there's
Right. It's door number one or door number two. So here's the deal. So I'm moved in with my girlfriend during the quarantine, and her kids are back in school, right? So I hear doors slamming. They're upset at what's going on. They're trying to do internet and everything. I'm just in like the cave right now. This is like the cave of the house.
Your bubble.
It's the guest room downstairs. So I got one door is the door to the hallway, one door is the door to the restroom, and this is the only place I can get a little bit of privacy. And I want to make sure we were uninterrupted.
And I think that is a lot of the reason why we're seeing so much real estate activity right now is that everybody's got to work and school from home. And so people need more space. They are recognizing the need for a sanctuary. We're seeing a tremendous amount of activity in some of the areas like Temecula, Murrieta, where you can get bigger houses for less money, estates, if you will, that you can just sort of park at and not have to leave for any reason. So let's dive in specifically to Carlsbad. Carlsbad is one of the markets that, I specifically remember 15 years ago, meeting people who lived in Carlsbad and they would shamefully say, I live in Carlsbad. Like it was this place, this far out outer space. They were practically on the moon.
Yeah.
And now Carlsbad, thriving, crazy, bonkers, not very much separation. Brian, for a long time, there's a lot of separation between Encinitas and Carlsbad. That divide has closed significantly in the past couple of years. So I would love to dive into some of the numbers with you, and then we can pull up a map. We can share some different thoughts on areas that we like, areas that we don't like, things to look forward to in the Carlsbad market. And just kind of for people who are wanting to live in this area, give them some ideas on different things to consider. How's that sound?
Yeah, perfect. And to your point, Derrick, that's what I'm hearing empirically from buyers who are looking at my listings and buyers I'm working with is the reason why it is so hot is people need the space. They're working from home. Their kids are from home. They just need more room. They're moving up from their 2-bedroom to the 3-bedroom, 3 to 4 bedrooms, and people moving down here from the Bay Area. Carlsbad real estate has really gone up quite a bit, but it's still more reasonably priced in their minds for the Bay Area folks who can work wherever they want. So they're living wherever they want. So moving down here.
50% off for them, at least. And
totally.
Not to mention much better weather. I mean, I can't imagine, owning real estate in San Francisco or Bay Area, anywhere really. And then coming down here and going, this is all this is? Right. All you guys want is this for this? I mean, they must be just blown away that for much better weather and a much better city,
right,
to get real estate for half the price that they're used to paying.
And they're paying cash because they're cashing out from their homes up there, taking the cash, taking the payday, and then moving down here paying cash for homes.
That's amazing. Well, let's dive into some of those numbers. Let's lay it out there because I think it's always good. Let's start with the facts. And then we can go to opinions.
Absolutely. So, and before I forget, by the way, I have to say congratulations to you because in case you may not even know this. Do you know September is National Mortgage Professional Month?
Is it really?
It is.
They have a month for us?
Yeah. So balloons are coming down right now in your head. Congratulations. It is your month. So my friend, celebrate.
Thank you.
Okay. So you and I go back quite a long time. You and I were doing stuff together on the radio 6-7 years ago. And then when you started your TV show, I was blessed enough to be on your first episode and we did a dry run way back in July 2015. So just over 5 years ago. Wow. And in the first episode, I put together a bunch of stats. And so when you asked me to come on today, I said, let's take a look at the stats from yesteryear, from 5 years ago, compared to where we're at today. Okay. And what's going on in the marketplace. Okay. Now, as I explained before, Carlsbad's broken up into 4 zip codes. Okay, you have 92008, which is the northwest. We'll look at the map later. 92009 southeast, 92010 northeast, 92011 southwest. And so we broke it up. And so this is my cheat sheet from that first show that we did. Looking at the numbers here. Kind of crazy. So we're going to compare this to what we're looking at this year. So 92008 had 93 homes on the market and 53 homes were in escrow, which was about 1.75 months of inventory. Okay. Now, for perspective, 3 to 5 months is a sort of a balanced market. Anywhere above 5 months is more of a buyer's market. Less than 3 months is more of a seller's market. So even back then, we were in a pretty good seller's market in 92008, actually in all the zip codes. 92009, there were 219 actives and 118 pending for 1.85 months of inventory. The 92010, there were 39 active and 35 pending for about a month of inventory. In 92011, we had 66 active, 57 pending for 1.16 months of inventory. So stop share for just a second. So those are the numbers back then. Now let's take a look at something called InfoSparks. InfoSparks is it's a really nice program because it really dives into a lot of different stats. And it's
let me get you to say something here about the market in 2015, because I remember talking about the market in 2015 and we were still pretty bullish then, and obviously that's paid off. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hot was the market in 2015 based on the stats that you just provided us?
10 being like it is right now.
Basically, yeah. I would call this an 11, but yeah.
Right. Turn it to 11. I would say it was back then probably a 7, or maybe even an 8. It was already ramping up pretty good. And a lot of what was driving it, interest rates were historically good, right? I mean, not like today, but historically good. But there was a lot of growth in Carlsbad. There were a lot of jobs coming to Carlsbad. There's a lot of infrastructure coming into Carlsbad.
And how are those things that made it good in 2015 holding up today? Are all those things still in place today?
They are. We actually have the same leadership, same government leadership as we had back then. Same mayor, largely the same city council, a little bit of different makeup, but there's even more growth going on right now. So for example, Viasat is one of the biggest employers in Carlsbad. Since 2015, they put in a whole other city block, and that's created more jobs. That's created more need for housing. And so more people are moving in and more growth. Legoland's expanding, adding another hotel. We still have the great beaches, and all the things that were there are still there, and then some.
So, and Legoland's been a big deal. Carlsbad has become a very touristy place to go. It's a tourist attraction hotspot.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with the village. It has to do with the great beaches. It has to do with Legoland for sure. Great shopping. Those things all kind of adding up for Carlsbad being a place that a lot of people land for vacations, tourist scenarios, things like that. Is stuff like that, does that help fuel and maintain a strong real estate market when you have tourism concentrated in the area? Or is that more just sort of the Airbnb hotel, retail market that gets benefited by that?
I think it's a little bit of both. And so here's what happens. I kind of look at this sort similar to, I remember my grandfather talking about how, the Rose Parade and the Rose Bowl. Okay. So people back east who are in their homes in January 1, and they're in snow and they're in cold, and they're looking at the Rose Parade and looking at the Rose Bowl and saying, wow, I want to be in California. So it's somewhat similar. People come out here for vacationing and they realize everything there is here, and they say, well, how can I make this work? How could I stay here?
Good point. That's how I got here.
Right. Exactly right. Right. You came out from the Midwest, and now you're here and you're enjoying it. And you're coastal, San Diego. Those things do bring people here, but it's still, I think the jobs and the job health is a lot to do with it. And of course, the other thing too is it's still relatively affordable in Carlsbad compared to other areas. I was listening to your segment with Bobby last week about Carmel Valley. Carmel Valley is getting more and more expensive at a more rapid pace. So it's sort of pushing the affordability level further north. And Carlsbad's that sweet spot where you can still get relatively affordable home in a great neighborhood with amazing schools. And that we should probably start with the schools, right? Because that's where people are looking for those schools.
Let's pull up some numbers. Let's look at some real hard facts here, and we won't spend too much time inundating with the accountancy, but I think it needs to be shown, it needs to be discussed, because this really tells the tale, and help us compare Carmel Valley to Carlsbad, because I actually think they're very comparable areas for consideration. You could say that certain areas of Carlsbad are newer, but certain areas are older, and Carmel Valley is kind of right in the middle, almost splitting the difference of the different benefits of Carlsbad. So let's take a look at the numbers and see how the market is holding up.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, we have 4 different zip codes in the city of Carlsbad. So let's take a look at 92008 first. That's the village area. It's the northwest quadrant. And when we look at the map, I'll show you how the quadrants break out. First thing I wanted to show you, which is telling to why the market is so incredible right now. Let's look at inventory first. Okay, the number of active listings, and I'm only going back a year. I could go back longer, but just in the last year, you can kind of see how inventory went up, in the normal time that it does, came down, back up, and it is so low right now. We're at 67 homes for sale right now. Okay. And if you look at the number of homes that are pending in escrow, we're at 32. Okay. So that's 2 months of inventory. So again, historically low, not as low as what maybe it was 5 years ago. But now let's take a look at 92009.
And '08 is the more eastern zip code.
Northwest.
And there's the northwestern. Okay, and then 11 is southwest.
Southwest, correct.
Okay.
So if you think of it this way, 92008 is the village.
Yes.
The north area. 92011 is
Old
some people think, they think of Aviara, that area down there, Lagoon down there. 92009 is where I've lived for most of my Carlsbad life, more of a newer area, and then 92010 is northeast. So let's take a look at 92009. The number of homes that are on the market right now is 88. Okay, and the number of homes that are in escrow are 96. So you have more homes in escrow than you have on the market. And when you try to figure out months of supply, it's how many homes on the market versus divided by the number of homes in escrow. How long will it take to bleed off the inventory if no new homes came on the market? We're at 0.92 months of inventory. It's unheard of.
So this is a very, very hot area here.
Very hot area. So an area that is near and dear to my heart is Rancho Carrillo. It's a community in Carlsbad, and we've talked about that community for years. I've lived there for years. Most of my business for most of the 17 years that I've been in real estate has been centered in that area. I've had listings coming on the market. They don't last a weekend. They last through one weekend, and that's it. We have showings back to back every half hour. No open houses now, with COVID, but we're able to do back-to-back showings with agents, cleaning in between and so forth. And it's unreal. We had one listed for $895 and it sold for $940.
That's what I was going to ask you. Was at that price point, are you getting bid up the same way as some of the lower price point, more closer to the median price point of 600? Yeah. Those are getting bid up significantly. So you're getting bid up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is for a 2,200 square foot home, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, and it's getting bid up to 940, and which happens to be a record high for that model in that community. So we are well above, in many cases, where we were at the top of the market, 15 years ago. We're back there in spades for sure.
What's interesting about that, and I just want to throw one layer of benefit to that, when you have a situation where values are going up like this, a lot of people feel like they can't take advantage because they're not looking to move. They are happy where they're at. I'm like, man, values are going up like crazy. Kind of sucks that we just have to sit here and we don't get to take advantage of it because we're not going to sell for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 years. But it creates a great opportunity from a refinance perspective for people who are in Carlsbad right now. Your home will appraise for a lot more than what you might think. And the lower your loan to value is, in other words, the more your home is worth versus what you owe on it, the better opportunity that you have to get good financing terms. So it just helps. It helps everyone, because it not only does it help the home sellers, but it also helps who live in the area, but it also helps people who want to stay in the area. It makes your home worth more money, which is good for you. And it allows you to get better terms on refinancing. So I do want to throw, that's one nice benefit that people who may not be looking to sell, but might be interested to see what's going on. That's something that you could take advantage of right now.
Absolutely. Rising tide raises all ships for sure. Here's a 92010 zip code. And let me switch back real quick to the active listings. Look at this trajectory of active listings in 92010. It's just gone nothing but down
Wow.
across the board. We're down to 16 homes on the market right now in the 92010 zip code, down 70%.
This is all types, right? Detached,
Every
attached.
type, all property, detached, twin homes, condos, everything. You want to buy a home in 92010, you have 16 to choose from, and that's it.
Wow.
But pending sales are 22.
Wow.
Okay, so we're at 0.72 months of inventory. I mean, think about that. It would take 3 weeks to sell off every property in that zip code if no new homes came on the market. It is literally unheard of in all the years I've been in real estate and the people I've spoken to who've even been longer than me. This is sincerely unprecedented
I
territory.
feel like we're walking on eggshells. It's like if people just decide to stop selling their homes, it won't take very long before there are no homes for sale. I
Right.
mean, a few weeks and there's nothing. That is just so great. But what a great time to be a home seller, huh? I mean,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
have you ever seen terms dictated by sellers like this before?
No, and I've always talked to my clients about obviously the benefit of multiple offers is higher price, of course, but also able to dictate terms. And it's especially important now because many of my clients are not just selling, but they are looking to buy, whether they're moving up, moving down, even laterally in price point, and they're afraid to sell because they don't know where they're going to move to. That's one of the reasons why inventory is so low because they feel like there's no place to go. So yeah, it's talking about walking on eggshells. It becomes tricky. So we can negotiate a rent back, or negotiate a 30-day escrow, maybe a 60-day rent back, and who's willing to give us the terms that we're looking for. And in most cases, we're getting those terms. In fact, we had one in escrow where we had multiple people willing to give 60-day rent backs. Why is that? One of the buyers was coming from the Bay Area. He was not necessarily in a hurry to move down. And the other one didn't know where they were going to go either. So we're buying them time as well. So for sure, 92011 zip code. Switch back to actives. Look at this. It's almost like zero. There's 58, but that's historically speaking super low for that zip code because there's more homes built there than in some of the others, but still down 46%. So 58 homes for sale versus 47 that are in escrow, 1.2.
Go back to that real quick. Right. So you can kind of see the spike there that took place. That's the COVID spike of
Yeah.
inventory. And then sort of once it was game on again, home buyers got back after it. And they're
Right.
definitely buying a lot of homes in this area. Effectively, when this chart right here is trending downward, that means that buyers are gobbling up homes faster than they're coming on the market.
Absolutely.
That's what's happening.
That's what's happening. And you and I talked even before we started recording. A lot of the work that I do is with seniors, especially seniors who are looking to move into maybe an independent living situation. There's different levels of a senior community type situation. Usually the first one people move into is independent and more of a discretionary move. And people aren't really making those moves right now because they want to stay put. And so they're not putting their homes on the market. So we're seeing so much stagnation as far as inventory is concerned. Frankly, I'm surprised. I would have thought that people would be seeing what's going on out there in the marketplace and be running to put their homes on the market. But part of the problem is they don't know where they're going to go, what are they going to buy, and they don't really have a need to sell. So we're just not seeing that inventory come on that we need to fuel this demand.
Yeah, the demand is crazy. I actually just got an offer accepted late last night for a veteran couple. I focus on VA and veterans are my passion, helping them find homes and refinance homes and save money. And 37 offers later.
37 offers.
37 offers. And we finally got them into escrow. 37. And this is not 525 price point, Brian. They were approved up to $1 million. I mean, we were writing offers all in the 700s, even got into the 800s on one. And it was just absolutely nuts. They weren't looking in Carlsbad, but they could have.
Yeah,
they were there.
Right.
They had the opportunity.
And they might have been writing more than 37 offers if they were trying for that price point in Carlsbad. I mean, and of course it's true. The more expensive you get, the more competition there is. And yet we're seeing it at all price points. I had a client list their home for $1,065,000. Nice home, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath home, 92011. which is typically the more expensive zip code on a price per square foot basis because it's further south, closer to the coast. And it went for $1,090,000 and had multiple offers on it. So it's really across all price points right now.
So nutty how something like that is possible across all price points across the entire county. But the bottom line is, secret's out on San Diego.
Yeah.
You know, this market here, this area, this sweet spot of the universe that we get to enjoy, a lot of people have not been aware of this place, and they are becoming aware. And when that happens, this is what happens. You know, you just get a situation where people are coming from every direction. You're seeing people come from north, from east. You're seeing people move up. You're seeing people who are renters going, I want to plant my flag here. I'm sick of watching prices go up and saying, I'll wait till next year. Let's go.
Right. Well, and interest rates are so, I mean, it's like almost like free money the way interest rates are right now. Lock in that 30%, you know, that 30-year loan. But
Don't
you and I
dare say
talked
free money. Don't you dare say free money on this show.
Yeah, I know. You and I talked about this, not free. You and I talked about this years ago about how San Diego was probably undervalued. You know, and I think about this too. When I'm driving around,
100%.
Yeah, when I'm driving around parts of San Diego, whether it's Carlsbad, Encinitas, further south, my girlfriend and I took a bike ride down Mission Beach, and I think about the properties in Los Angeles and Orange County, and the same proximity to the water, right? Within a few blocks of the water, and what those values are, it's a deal in San Diego compared to up there.
Big
now,
time.
part of the problem has always been, well, you know, San Diego used to be just a military town and a vacation area. It's not anymore. It's built up, and there's biotech, and there's pharmaceutical, and there's telecommunications, and all these businesses here. It's no longer a little city anymore.
It's not. And we're going to look at the map here and kind of, so here's Legoland, right?
Yep.
So Legoland's kind of in the center of Carlsbad, coastal. There's a lot of cool things going on here. There's golf nearby.
Yep.
There's
municipal golf course.
Yep.
So Legoland sits pretty much on Palomar Port Road, and Palomar Port Road is the road that divides North and South Carlsbad.
Right.
So if you think about that, and then east and west is divided by El Camino Real.
Okay.
So if you look
right here,
right there.
Camino
So if you
Real,
look
right?
at where that Holiday Inn is on Palomar Port Road. So if you make that line going down, and then you have the one going across from the Holiday Inn right in the middle there.
Okay, this guy right here.
Yep. So that line right there, that would be
okay.
Spider.
So now we got our 4 quadrants. So we've identified Legoland. A couple things I want to just point out, and then I'll let you kind of tell us, you know, I'd like to know what you think about some of these areas. Here's the village, which you can see is very north, because this is Oceanside up here.
Right.
So this is all Oceanside to the north. And this is the village. If you haven't been to the village in a while, you know, right now, obviously it's still sort of COVIDized, but what a cool spot this is. And then of course you've got, you know, all the way back down here to some of the most amazing beaches. In fact, the beaches in Carlsbad, pretty much top to bottom, are probably the best in all of San Diego County, in my opinion.
Most amount of sand front of any beaches in San Diego County.
Yeah, you get so much space. You know, here in Carmel Valley, you know, you go to Del Mar and you have, you know, 50 feet or 30 feet sometimes. You go to Torrey Pines, sometimes 0 feet.
Right.
In Carlsbad, you're going to have plenty of space to play and run around and not have your stuff get soaked by the water. So you have some really cool things there. Everything you could possibly want, as you can see, you know, there's Walmart Supercenters here, a couple of them, Costco's up there. And you've got golf here. This is Bressie Ranch over here. And here's another thing too I want to point out before I turn over to you, Brian, is that this is the end of Encinitas here, but you can see how Carlsbad sort of sticks out into Encinitas. This whole area right here, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, this is my favorite little pocket of Carlsbad, which is really Encinitas. I mean, it's the same, you know, it's kind of like, it's Encinitas, but you're in Carlsbad.
It's Carlsonitas or something like that. How would you mix that together?
Here's the Carrillo Ranch.
Yep.
And I wanted to try to find on here and see if I can figure it out. It's off La Costa somewhere. It's the Costa Resort and Spa.
It's off El Camino Real and La Costa.
Somewhere right here, I think is where it is. So that's also kind of right off La Costa Boulevard, just a little bit north of there. which is another reason why I think this little sweet spot here. That's my little sweet spot.
Yeah.
Carlsbad.
And they just put in, a newer shopping center there. They just built a brand new Sinopolis. Not that that matters right now. Can't really go to movies, but tons of great shopping and restaurants. Home values there have gone nuts. I had dinner with a client a couple weeks ago in the backyard of his home, and I helped him buy a home in there about 4 years ago, I believe. I don't know how many times he thanked me for helping him find the place in that neighborhood, because his value has gone nothing but up.
In my sweet spot?
Yep. In your sweet spot. That's right.
I'm telling you, that's the one.
Yeah.
That is the one right there. Or at least it's my favorite one. I like to be a little more south. Obviously, I'm in Carmel Valley, but I don't commute anymore. So that's something that's changed a lot for people.
For sure.
Used to be very location sensitive. Now people are becoming a lot less location sensitive because a lot of things are being opened up and done virtual now. People are able to work virtual. So now it seems to be, in my opinion, Brian, more about the house. Maybe you could tell us, what people can expect in some of these different areas of Carlsbad, or areas that you love or areas that you think may not be a great value right now.
Sure. So for some reason, my computer screen just went black. I don't know why. So I'm trying to bring it back up again.
I want you to go off memory.
Can you see? If you can still see me, I'll keep going.
Yeah.
So my favorite parts of Carlsbad, I love. So your favorite area is the 92009. Probably my favorite as well. I love it there because it is further south, near a lot of the shopping and stuff in Encinitas, but it's still Carlsbad. And it's also a little bit further east, which we don't get socked in there. There's kind of a saying that it's the sunny side of Carlsbad because you don't get the fog roll that comes in off the coast as much.
Correct.
So one of my favorite areas. I do love the village. The village, the home values in the village, it's kind of hit or miss. A lot of it is because you have some tear down type situations. Homes have been there for a long time, but the land is so valuable. So finding a property there, can be a little bit of a challenge. 92011, it has always been, like I said, as a price per square foot basis, has been the most valuable because it is further south and closest to the coast. That's where Aviara is. And then the last one, so to speak, is 92010. A bit older, does have Calavera Hills, which was built around the same time as Rancho Carrillo, but further north, further east. To your point, though, people don't have to commute as much as they had to before. And so because of that, they can live wherever they want to. And that's why I think people are moving further north into Carlsbad, because they're not having to commute to downtown San Diego like they were before.
This kind of gives you this map outline. This is Vista up here. So there's other options for people too who may be looking at Carlsbad and going, gosh, it's just so expensive, I can't do it, or whatever it may be. There are some other nearby options that could be, where you could still sort of take advantage of some of the Carlsbad lifestyle, Vista, San Marcos, there, Oceanside's there. But if you're living in Carlsbad, first of all, congratulations on making a good investment. Mm-hmm. This area has done extremely well. It doesn't seem that anything can stop Carlsbad. Apparently they have the right people in place from a leadership standpoint. They're doing the right things to get businesses to come there. And one of the things, just like Santee, Santee has overcome a terrible reputation over the years to become one of the most thriving areas in San Diego. How? Great leadership who understand the very basic principle that get businesses to come here. Make this a good place for businesses to come, a safe place for businesses to come, a beneficial place for businesses to come and park. And that will the rest will trickle down from there. And I think Carlsbad has done a great job of that as well. And although there aren't as many people, playing golf and things like that anymore, these areas which are built up and that are newer, like where you live and things like that,
yep.
That's really, really attractive to people who want to be in at least somewhat coastal area, if they're not going to be all the way coastal, newer. It's just like Carmel Valley. That's why I say it's very, very similar to Carmel Valley in that sense from a real estate standpoint and what you get and what you're buying. I would say Carmel Valley is probably a little more vertical. Like the detached house that I live in is basically a townhome that's not attached to anything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I hear
you. That's basically what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and so some of those newer construction, that's what you're seeing. Is there any new construction going on in Carlsbad?
Wow. So good news. I can see you again. So my screen's back. Is there any new construction going on in Carlsbad? Not a whole lot. So one of the last things that a lot of people in Carlsbad were waiting for was for Poinsettia to connect to the coast. So if you can see where you have Acosta, you have Palomar Port Road, kind of right in the middle there. See the Agua Norte Community Park, right underneath Bressy
Yeah.
Ranch.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, so that's Alga right there, or that's Poinsettia right there. And if people want to go from Rancho Carrillo to the coast, they had to go across Poinsettia and then up El Camino Real to the next light and then cut across. Well, they finally put Poinsettia through. Here's a little known fact. I don't know if it's a little known fact, but the way the city of Carlsbad works is if any road is going to be built, it's not going to be financed by the city. It's going to be financed by the builder who builds there. So that's why you see some roads that say coming soon, but are never done because they don't have a builder who's building in there. Well, they finally got a builder to build some homes in where that Poinsettia reach had to be connected. And now it's connecting. And so now that's going to be connected from Rancho Carrillo all the way to the coast.
All the way through.
And exactly. And so that's almost the only new construction going on in Carlsbad is that one little pocket right there.
How many homes are we talking? 10, 12, 15, 20?
It's a little bit more than that, not many more than that, but it's
40?
I'm not sure how many there are, but it's 20 to 30. I mean, maybe 20-ish, 30, somewhere around there. Smaller. Land is so expensive right now that they had to fit so many into one little spot. So they have no yards. And in fact, I had a client who was selling their home in that same area where that one went for 940. And we had a couple of different offers on it. And some of the people who offered on it were looking in that new development and were saying, well, wait a second, I'm going to pay the same price or more. They were going for $1 million for less home with no land. I might as well buy in here. So that kind of tells you how expensive homes are right now for the new construction because the land is so expensive to buy. Builders don't have any land to buy. So what we're seeing is a little bit more infill. Okay, we're seeing onesie, twosie type situations like in the 92008 where people can, scrape the ground, scrape the building down and maybe put a couple homes in there or some more dense population apartment buildings or something like that. Not a lot of widespread building right now, though.
Yeah, well, it's tough. It's tough because of the rules for building new. They're very difficult.
Right.
And now it's, every property also has to have solar and, there's a whole bunch of environmental things that they have to do that just make it very, very expensive, to build on top of the fact that the ground costs a fortune.
Yeah.
So if you pack a profit in there somehow, some way, then, that this all just adds up. And so you're going to see that new construction, my advice mostly to people who are like, what do you think about new construction? I'm like, don't do it. And mostly because it's kind of like it's so bizarre in the car world, you go to the used car lot is where it's really bad. Right. But in the real estate world, it's like you go into new construction sales office. That's where it's really bad. That's where it's like, well, if you want windows, that's going to be another 12,000. Wait a minute. It said price is starting at $495 out here. Yeah, well, you're probably not getting out the door for less than $625.
Yeah.
And not that anything's that cheap, but there's such a stigma of like upsell and things like that going on. There's some funny business going on too with affiliated business arrangements and things like that. So for the most part, I tell people steer clear. But buying a new house is great. I mean, when you actually buy a new home and you go and you're the first one to own it and you get to have the new home smell and really make it your own, that really is pretty cool. There's just very few opportunities for it. And you are typically going to have to pay a premium if you're going to do that.
For sure. In back in the day when there weren't as many homes that were built and they were building, massive communities like a Rancho Carrillo, like a Bressy Ranch, where they had this land in a market that was either stable or moving up. Buying new in a lot of ways made sense if you got in on one of the first phases because there were always price increases built in to the future phases. So if you bought in one of the first phases, you had built-in appreciation just because of the way they were building. That's not really the case anymore because they're not building a whole lot right now. And they're not building these massive phases. They'll build, they have 4 phases of 3 homes each or 4 homes each. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not. But the good news is market in Carlsbad, very, very strong. Great opportunities for people who are home sellers for sure. There's buyers lined up around the building, man. So if it's something that you're looking to do, you can really capitalize right now. Also good for other people who want to stay put. You can potentially refinance, use the higher values, get yourself out of mortgage insurance, take advantage of a lower rate, do something along those lines. Cash out is really not something that's a great thing in the finance world right now. You're not seeing great terms on cash out just because of some of the concerns that are sort of still lingering on forbearances and whatnot. But rate and term refinances are on fire. Rates are extremely low. So that could be a way to take advantage. And if you're looking to buy in this area, I think, having a local expert like Bryan would be very, very helpful. A lot of people think you need the neighborhood expert to sell, but you really need the neighborhood expert to buy, because you want to know those little pockets that are working and that aren't. And you need someone who's ingrained in a local community to really figure that out. So Mr. Devore, thank you so much for coming on today. Appreciate your time, brother. Next week, I want to have lunch or coffee or something, some sort of normal human interaction with you. And you'll be on the Real Estate Debate next Friday. I will be. 3 p.m. So we'll look forward to having you back then. Thank you so much for your time today. And hey, guys, let's share this video. Let's make your friends smarter than everyone else. We'll see you all soon.